And welcome back to the show. And Dom Aldrich is on the line. Good afternoon, Dom.
Very good afternoon, Dave. How are you doing?
Not too bad at all. All ready for Christmas? Not far now?
No, far from it, I'm afraid. I think I'll leave that all to last minute and on the weekend.
Right. Well, let's have a quick look at what's happening in the sport then. And just before we get on with all the sports news, what was your view of Bradley Wiggins winning the BBC Sports Personality of the Year, Dom?
I think richly deserved, Dave. You know, I mean, if you looked at that list of athletes that were up for that accolade, it was very, very difficult. I mean, I think I'd said this to you before. It was almost unfair to actually select a winner from that list of people. But, you know, I think Bradley Wiggins probably just edged it, you know, for me slightly. His achievement of winning the most grueling sporting event on the planet, which is the Tour de France, was, you know, unprecedented in British sport. And then to go and back it up with that gold medal barely 2 weeks later, I think it might have been. And you know, you think of that gold medal, but you've got to look back at the time and what he did it in the rest of the field. He absolutely destroyed the rest of the field in the time trial in the Olympics by a good 15 seconds, which is, you know, an astonishing achievement so soon after 30-odd days in the mountains of, you know, going around France and the Tour de France. So, yeah, I think he probably did enough just to edge that one.
I was thinking Jessica Ennis may actually edge it, but I think doing the Tour de France outside of the Olympics and winning that as well was probably the deciding factor for a lot of people.
Yeah, and then you've got to remember as well, just before the Tour de France, he also won a smaller tour as well in France. I think it was Paris to Nice, something like that as well. So, you know, there was that on his CV as well. There's another way of looking at Jennifer Ennis, won seven events, as opposed to just the one, of course. But, yeah, I mean, it's always going to be difficult when you have such a list of remarkable achievements coming from all of those people. Tough call.
Did you pick up the news yesterday as well out of the UK where they're talking about the funding for different sports with a view to Rio, you know, in a few years' time? Did you pick up any news on that? Because they're tending to focus on what they're doing well, like the cycling and so on, and not so much going on the swimming financially.
Yeah, I read very briefly about that. I mean, obviously success breeds success, doesn't it? You've got to remember that. I imagine that their funding is very limited in certain areas, and I suppose you do have to throw perhaps the biggest investment behind the best future over the next 2 to 3 years. And you know, obviously there were signs, and we're going to be talking a little bit about swimming later on in the program, and there were signs that perhaps they could do very well in the pool based on what happened in Beijing. They didn't quite deliver in the pool.
No.
But yeah, I think it's fair enough to really perhaps spend more of that investment behind the more successful events. But then again, you know, it's got two sides to the coin. You don't know what talent they're going to unfold in the next 2 to 3 years in the swimming pool.
Certainly,
it's a tough decision. Unfortunately, these decisions have to be made. And you're never going to keep everybody happy, are you?
That's right, certainly it is. It's a hard job when there's not money to go around every single sport in an ideal world, of course. That'd be great. Let's have a quick look at some of the headlines from this week, starting off with the Golf European Tour.
Well, it's one sport that you don't need any financial backing, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Well, that's if your name is Charles Schwartzel, the 2011 Masters champion, continued his rich vein of form when he won his second tournament in succession. He won the Alfred Dunhill Championship by an emphatic 12 shots on the European Tour at Leopards Creek Country Club in South Africa. Schwartzel followed up this victory, his 11th-shot win in Thailand last week. He finished the tournament in a record 24 under par. A superb vein of form at the moment there for Charles Schwartzel. If you consider that it had been about 18 months since he had won a tournament, and that was the US Masters previously in 2011. He's going to have to put that rich vein of form on hold, Dave. The European Tour has a little bit of a break now. Understandable over the Christmas period. That begins again on the 10th of January at the Volvo Golf World Championship in Durban, and the PGA Tour will resume on the 4th of January at the Hyundai Tournament of Champions in Hawaii.
Okay, looking forward to that again as well. Some great to see the golfing represented the Sports Personality of the Year with Rory, of course, as well. So that was great.
Yeah, I mean, Richard deserved. I mean, he had a tremendous year himself. He was the only Olympian. Non-Olympian, should I say, that was actually part of that shortlist for the BBC Personality. You know, again, would one have begrudged him winning it? Probably not, considering his achievements. But I think it's an accolade that's certainly going to come his way in his future, bearing in mind he's only 21.
Well, like you say, Dom, if it had been any other year apart from an Olympic year, he would have walked with it, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, I think judging by what actually, I think Andy Murray came third. So probably Murray would have edged that based on being the first British man to have won a Grand Slam. But, you know, like I said, at his age, really, and with the golfing world at his feet, I'm sure he'll be nominated more than just one occasion and probably even win it more than on just one occasion.
27 years of age, is he? I think it's something like 27. Amazing player.
Rory McIlroy. No, I think you've got that wrong. I'm afraid he's 21, Dave.
Oh, even younger. Wow. I'm getting mixed up with somebody
even
else.
younger,
Yeah.
which is what makes his achievements even that much more startling, yeah.
Wow. Okay, I'll keep quiet now. Let's go to boxing then. Boxing.
Yeah, boxing on the weekend. I mean, Amir Khan. I mean, this was really, really important. It was a real fight of redemption for Amir Khan after the last 12 months that he's endured. I lost to Danny Garcia in the fourth round. That shocking decision against him almost a year ago in Washington by Lamont Peterson. Nevertheless, those two fight losses certainly has harmed his career and left it slightly in tatters before the weekend. But it was a pretty classy and comprehensive performance in Los Angeles by Amir Khan over previously undefeated Mexican Carlos Molina. As I've already mentioned, it's been a tough 12 months for Amir Khan. Another loss would have left his career in tatters. That did not happen, as mentioned. In fact, quite the contrary. He left Molina's face in complete tatters. The Mexican's corner eventually throwing the towel in on the end of the 10th round. As for Amir Khan and his performance on the night, much was expected. Getting rid of Freddie Roach, his previous trainer and the trainer of Manny Pacquiao, following his last loss. In came Virgil Hunter, the very well-respected trainer stateside. Lots of noticeable differences in the style that Khan took into the ring on Saturday night. His defence was an awful lot better. His counter-attacking abilities under defence as well was something that he had gone missing, I think, in his last 3 or 4 fights. One thing that remained there and as effective as ever was his power and his hand speed. It was absolutely electric. And at 26 years old, the likes of Manny Pacquiao, Floyd Mayweather, Juan Manuel Marquez, Martinez, these guys are all coming to the end of their careers. It's almost a changing of the guard at that weight division. And at 26 years old, Amir Khan has got a great opportunity now of stepping up to the plate and resuming at the helm of that sort of light middleweight boxing division. And I've got to tell you, all of his skills that were on show on Saturday night, and it was a very painful wait for me until about 5:30 in the morning, but I managed to do it. The guys show that he is still one of the most talented fighters on the planet. And in the words of some of the ringside pundits, there's probably only 2 people on this planet that can beat Floyd Mayweather, and that is Amir Khan is one of those, and Pacquiao is the other. So tremendous stuff there from Amir Khan.
You must be dedicated to sport if you decide you're either going to wait up till 5:30 in the morning or you're going to put your alarm on and wake up to watch the boxing. So that's you. You've won the Dedication of the Year award, definitely, Don.
Well, I've got to tell you what happened. I mean, there was three fights before the Khan fights, and every single one of them went the distance, 12 rounds, which is quite unusual. Normally you'll have a knockout halfway through, which brings the featured event on a little bit earlier. But it was a high-quality night of boxing. I've got to tell you, the fights beforehand were just as exciting. But, I had the matchsticks under my eyelids, keeping them awake on that time of the morning, I can assure you.
Now, Dom, I think I know where I went wrong when I was thinking of 27 years of age. I'm thinking maybe the England captain's 27. Am I right now?
You're absolutely right.
Yeah, that's where I got mixed up. Cricket.
Yeah, because we spoke about him last week, didn't we? And his achievement so far as an England cricketer, his achievement now as the England cricket captain, the first captain to win a Test series in India in 28 years. David Gow, the last England captain to do that. It was a brilliant effort by England all round. If you consider in the 4 Test series, they lost the first Test match. The Test match in Nagpur ended in a draw in the end, which gave England a 2-1 series win, and richly deserved as well their day. Top performers for England over the series. Alistair Cook, the captain, who led very much from the front at the top of the order, he deservedly won the Man of the Series award for his 562 runs at a staggering average of 80.28. 3 centuries in that as well. Kevin Peterson underlined his importance to the England cause on his return to the England team with 338 runs in the series, an average of just shy of 50. And as expected, the spin duo of Graham Swan and Monty Panesar did the damage with the ball in hand, taking 20 wickets for Graham Swan in the series. And Monty Panesar has come back into the England side with 17 wickets. So tremendous stuff there from England, richly deserved. The Test winter will continue for England in February when they travel to New Zealand. Before that, in January, they have the small matter of defeating India, in India in the T20 series and the 50-over series as well. And that begins early January.
How far is the Ashes away, Don? Because, I mean, it's going to be a big tester for Alistair Cook, isn't it?
It's going to be a big test for Alistair Cook, Dave. It's not that far off. It isn't the greatest Australian team that England have faced. That's one thing for sure. South Africa just recently defeated them down under in Australia barely 2 weeks ago. I mean, listen, Australia is still building towards that. There's a lot of speculation at the moment. Shane Warne might even come out of retirement.
Yeah.
The one department that the Australian side is really struggling with at the moment is their top order batting and a real world-class spin bowler. Shane Warne is playing cricket at the moment in the Big Bash in Australia's 2020 version. He's as fit as he ever was. Can he still do the business in a 5-day test match at the age of 43? I'm not too sure about that, but certainly the quality that Warne has. But no, England will certainly start as favourites in the Ashes. There's no question about it. And there's two-man medal stand in their way, and that's captain from Australia, Michael Clarke, and the perennial Michael Hussey at the age of 38. He's still one of the most prolific scorers in Test cricket.
Okay, moving on, as we were talking earlier on about the swimming and the short course for world champs, let's touch on that for a moment.
Yeah, the short course world champs in Istanbul. They call it short course because it's in a 25-metre swimming pool, not the Olympics 50-metre. The United States topped the medal standings with 27 medals, 11 gold medals. Ryan Lochte was the standout performer there with 8 medals. 2 world records in that as well. Gold in the 200-metre freestyle, 100-metre medley, 200-metre medley, individual medley that is, and a world record in the 200 medley. Bronze in the 100 metres butterfly, silver in the 200-metre breaststroke, and the 100 and 200-metre medley relay. He secured gold there with America. For the females, it's Katinka Hozur from Hungary. She was the star performer with 5 medals, 2 golds, 2 silvers, and a bronze. For Team GB, Hannah Miley got gold in the 400-metre medley and bronze in the 200-metre medley. Emma Lowe secured bronze in the 100 and 200-metre butterfly. And Francesca Hossal secured a silver medal in the 50 metres freestyle. Tremendous championships overall. There were 18 records that were broken. And it shows that there is life in the swimming pool after Michael Phelps, that's for sure.
It certainly is, and he did well as well at the BBC Sports Personality. But we've not got time to chat about that because time's running out, but let's just touch on the Rugby Heineken Cup. Yeah,
just it's the end of round 4 now, Dave, in Europe's Premier Club Rugby competition. There were wins on the weekend for Saracens over Munsters, Castray over Glasgow, and Northampton inflicted the first loss of the season on Ulster. There were also wins for Montpellier, Claremont, one of their favourites of the tournament, Exeter, Harlequins, Leicester, Ospreys, Edinburgh, Biarritz, and Toulon thrashed Sale 62 points to 0. Saracens top of Pool 1 there, Leicester top of Pool 2, Harlequins top of Pool 3, Ulster top Pool 4, Toulon at top Pool 6, and in Pool 5 it's Claremont Auvergne who topped that Pool at 5 there with Leinster on 10 points, the defending champions at 7 points, 8 points behind Claremont.
Fantastic. And something a little bit different as we're on the run up to Christmas, let's have a look at some NFL.
Yeah, something a little bit different. This is the business end of the NFL, the American football season, Dave. We're coming now into week 17 of 18, and the playoffs begin in January. This, of course, is America's biggest and most popular sport. Just a little reminder what happened in the Super Bowl in February of this year. The New York Giants beat the New England Patriots 21 points to 17. Coming into the second or the penultimate week of NFL matches, there are already sides that have qualified from the NFC East, and that's Green Bay Packers, Atlanta Falcons, with an unbelievable record of 12-1, only 2 losses, driven by quarterback Matt Bryan. San Francisco 49ers have also qualified. There's now 6 teams that are fighting it out over the next couple of weeks for the remaining 3 spots in the NFC. And that's the Washington Redskins, led by Robert Griffin III. This guy's a rookie quarterback in his first season. They've put Washington on a 5-game winning streak, and he really is setting the NFL alight this season. The Dallas Cowboys, defending champions New York Giants, Seattle Seahawks, Minnesota Vikings, and the Chicago Bears. Those are your 6 teams fighting out for the last 3 places in the NFC. In the AFC, the New England Patriots, led by Tom Brady, their most successful player of all time at quarterback, they've qualified. The Baltimore Ravens, with Joe Flacco and Torrey Smith being the outstanding performers. I had the pleasure of an interview with Torrey Smith only a couple of weeks ago. The Houston Texans, they have also qualified, and so have the Denver Broncos. And this is a fantastic story, Dave. Peyton Manning is the quarterback. He was signed by them for $85 million over 5 years at the age of 36 years old this year.
Wow.
Peyton Manning, one of the most successful quarterbacks of all time, played most of his career with the Indianapolis Colts, and he really is, at the age of 36, playing as good a football as he ever has done. He's now put Denver on a 9-straight-game winning streak. Peyton Manning in unbelievable form, and one of the favourites, the Denver Broncos, once they get through the playoffs, especially considering the form of Peyton Manning. Just a quick look ahead at some of the big matchups this weekend. The New Orleans Saints at the Dallas Cowboys. That's a must-win for Dallas. The Washington Redskins at the Philadelphia Eagles. The Philadelphia Eagles have really had a shocking season. The Redskins have got 6 straight. The New York Giants, the defending champions, at the Baltimore Ravens. Must-win game for the New York Giants. If Baltimore win, they top the AFC North as winners. and Cincinnati at Pittsburgh, that's got a real sexy feeling about it for me. Whichever one of those losers will not make the playoffs. We will keep everybody updated as we approach the playoffs and during the playoffs as well, Dave.
Okay, I was going to say, I'm 36 years of age and I'm worth about £2.50, so there you go. Dom, thanks for later sports, of course, and Midweek Sports Roundup. Have a great Christmas to you and your good lady and the family.
That's very kind of you, Dave. Thanks so much, and the same to you as well.
Just before you go, what's happening on Friday?
Well, on Friday, unfortunately, Stuart will not be in the studio with us. But he will be on the telephone from Amsterdam, just talking about the football. We'll have a little chat about the cricket, talk a little bit about a year in sports as well. We might also touch a little bit on the NBA. If there's any NBA fans in there, please tune in. Richard will be in the studio with me as well. And then we're also putting together next week a show, a year in sports. So we're going to be covering, obviously, the Olympics, which will go out on New Year.
Fantastic, Dom. Have a great Christmas, and I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, Dave. You too.
Cheers, Dom.